Right now, you might feel stuck. Your mind is cluttered, your goals feel blurred, and no matter how much effort you put in, you feel like you're running in circles. This is not because you're broken. It's because you haven't learned the power of resetting, restarting, and refocusing. And that's exactly what Steve Jobs mastered during the darkest chapters of his life. Today, I'm going to share those lessons with you. You see, one of the most powerful lessons I ever learned came not from success, but from failure, not from applause, but from silence. There comes a time in your life when your mind is cluttered with too much noise, too many doubts, too many comparisons, too many expectations. And when that happens, you stop thinking clearly. You stop creating. You stop being yourself. That's when you need to reset your mindset. Resetting doesn't mean giving up. Resetting doesn't mean weakness. Resetting means starting again with clarity, without the heavy baggage that slows you down. Think about your mind like a computer. When it's running too many programs, it overheats. It slows down. It crashes. But with a reset, everything begins to work smoother, faster, and sharper. That's exactly how the human mind operates. When I was fired from Apple, it felt like the world had taken everything from me. I was lost, humiliated, and for a moment, I questioned if my story was already over. But here's the truth. I had to reset. I had to wipe away the corrupted files of anger, bitterness, and pride. Only then was I able to see new possibilities. Only then was I able to find the energy to build again. And in that reset, I found freedom. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to right now that's slowing you down? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's disappointment. Maybe it's the memory of something you thought would work out but didn't. The reset is not about erasing your past. The reset is about cleaning your lens so you can see your future more clearly. Most people think pushing harder will solve their problems. Work more hours, chase more opportunities, fill every moment with activity. But the truth is, sometimes the breakthrough doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from stepping back. It comes from pressing that invisible reset button in your mind. When you reset, you permit yourself to breathe. You permit yourself to let go of what no longer serves you. You permit yourself to see life from a different angle. That's when the mind becomes sharp again. That's when ideas flow. That's when you begin to create with purpose, not desperation. The most successful people you admire are not superhuman. They simply know when to reset. They know when their vision has become clouded, when their mind is cluttered, when their path has become scattered. And instead of continuing down a broken road, they pause. They clear their mental desk. They start fresh. Think of a painter facing a canvas full of mistakes. He can keep adding more strokes, hoping to cover them, but eventually the painting becomes messy, chaotic, and lifeless. But if he dares to reset, to take a new canvas, he can create a masterpiece. Your life is the same. You can keep adding layers to a mess, or you can reset and begin again with clarity. And here's the secret: the reset is where strength is born. Because when you reset, you strip yourself of all illusions. You stop pretending. You stop chasing approval. You stop trying to impress. Instead, you return to what matters most: your vision, your values, your truth. That's the power of resetting. It's not easy. The ego hates to reset. The ego wants to hold on, to fight, to keep proving something. But the spirit knows better. The spirit knows that sometimes to win, you must step back. The spirit knows that sometimes, to move forward, you must first pause. Resetting is not about losing progress. It's about aligning your energy with what truly matters. You can climb 1,000 steps in the wrong direction, but only a reset will bring you back to the right path. And once you find that path again, every step forward is powerful, intentional, unstoppable. I want you to think about the last time you felt alive, the last time you felt fully engaged, creative, and free. What if I told you that version of you is still here, waiting beneath the layers of stress, doubt, and distractions? You don't need to become someone new, you just need to reset. Because when you reset, you discover something profound. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not broken. You're simply beginning again. This time with greater clarity, greater wisdom, and greater power. And that's the lesson I carried through my darkest times. There comes a moment in everyone's life when the path you were walking suddenly collapses. Everything you built, everything you believed in, everything you gave your energy to, it disappears in a single moment. That moment forces you to choose. Do you remain stuck in regret, or do you restart? But the truth is, restarting doesn't mean starting from zero. Restarting means starting again, but this time with experience, with wisdom, with scars that remind you of what you've survived. It's like pressing reboot on a machine. You don't lose the knowledge. You don't lose the design. You don't lose the brilliance that's already inside you. You simply reload it with more power, more clarity, more direction. When I was forced out of Apple, people thought I was finished. To them, I was a man whose story had ended. But that exile gave me something even more powerful than success. It gave me the chance to restart. And when I restarted, I didn't waste time trying to recreate the old version of myself. I didn't try to prove my worth to the same people who had rejected me. I restarted with purpose. I built NXT. I poured myself into Pixar. I gave birth to ideas that could only be born after the pain of being broken. You see, the restart is not just a new beginning. It's a rebirth. It's where your pain transforms into direction. It's where your disappointment transforms into innovation. It's where your rejection transforms into resilience. The restart is not the end of your story. It's the hidden chapter where you reinvent yourself. Most people fear the restart because they believe it means failure. They believe it erases all the work they've done, but the opposite is true. Restarting is not failure, it's evolution. Restarting is upgrading. When you restart, you bring every lesson, every mistake, every experience into your new chapter, and that makes you unstoppable. Think about this. When Apple was drowning, I didn't come back and continue the same broken system. I didn't rebuild the cluttered product line. I didn't restart Apple to copy what the world was already doing. I restarted it with purpose. I simplified. I stripped away everything unnecessary. I focused on what mattered most. And that restart changed not just Apple, but the entire technology industry. Restarting with purpose requires courage, because it means admitting the old way wasn't enough. It means facing the truth that some of your greatest efforts won't work out. But it also means giving yourself the freedom to try again, to start clean, to imagine differently. And only the bold are willing to take that leap. Think about your own life right now. Maybe you're stuck in a job that no longer inspires you. Maybe you're carrying the weight of a dream that didn't work out. Maybe you've been walking a path that no longer feels like your own. Restarting doesn't mean you wasted years. Restarting doesn't mean you were wrong. Restarting means you're ready to live with purpose again. When you restart, something powerful happens. You stop chasing approval. You stop repeating the old script. You stop living for what people expect. Instead, you ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What do I want to give my energy to? What am I willing to fight for? Even if the world doesn't understand, that's when your restart becomes unstoppable. Every restart in my life was born from pain. But that pain carried me to something greater. When Apple pushed me out, it forced me to build NXT. When NXT struggled, it forced me to find a new path in Pixar. When Pixar succeeded, it forced me to think bigger than computers. Each restart wasn't a detour. It was the exact road I needed to walk. And eventually, all those roads brought me home to Apple, stronger than ever before. So when life shuts you down, when people turn away, when failure whispers in your ear, remember this: the restart button is always in your hands. You are never truly stuck. You are never truly finished. You are always one restart away from a breakthrough. And the difference between those who remain broken and those who rise again is simple. One chooses to stay down, the other chooses to restart with purpose. One of the greatest illusions of our time is the belief that success comes from doing more. More projects, more opportunities, more connections, more ideas. But here's the truth: greatness doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing less, with greater intensity. That is the power of focus. That is the power of saying no to everything that doesn't matter. That is the art of refocusing on the essentials. When I returned to Apple in 1997, the company was on the edge of collapse. It was drowning in products, lost in confusion, and spreading its energy in 1,000 different directions. And the first thing I did wasn't to add something new, it was to remove. I cut down dozens of projects. I shut down experiments. I killed ideas that might have seemed good, but weren't essential. And why? Because the future isn't built on clutter. It's built on clarity. Focus requires sacrifice. Most people don't want to sacrifice. They want to keep every option open. They want to try everything, taste everything, hold on to everything. But in trying to hold on to everything, they end up holding nothing. They become scattered, unfocused, and exhausted. And when you are exhausted, when you are divided, you lose the ability to create something meaningful. Think about it. How many times in your own life have you spread yourself too thin? How many times have you tried to please everyone, chase every opportunity, and say yes to everything that came your way? You didn't fail because you weren't capable. You failed because you weren't focused. Refocusing means cutting away the noise. It means having the courage to choose the few things that matter most and to give them your entire energy. That's what I did with Apple. I told my team, we are going to focus on 4 products, just 4. A desktop, a laptop, a consumer model, a professional model. That's it. The world thought we were crazy to cut so much. But that decision to refocus brought Apple back to life. And from that clarity came the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, the innovations that reshaped the world. It's not about how much you do. It's about what you choose to do. 1,000 projects can make you busy. But one project, pursued with clarity and obsession, can make you legendary. And that is the difference between people who stay ordinary and people who become extraordinary. The discipline of focus is brutal. It means saying no to opportunities that look exciting but are not aligned with your mission. It means saying no to people who pull you away from your vision. It means saying no to your own temptations, your own distractions, your own desire to do everything at once. Focus is not about what you say yes to. It's about the courage to say no. And let me tell you something. The ability to refocus is a weapon. It's how you regain control when life overwhelms you. It's how you reclaim your power when your path feels scattered. Because refocusing is not just about business. It's about life. It's about relationships, energy, and even your inner state. When you refocus, you remember what truly matters. You stop running in circles. You stop wasting your fire on meaningless things. You direct it like a laser. A scattered flame will warm no one, but a focused flame can cut through steel. That's the difference. That's the power of refocusing. I want you to imagine your own life right now. How many things are you doing that don't matter? How many distractions have you allowed into your mind? How much time are you giving away to people, habits, and patterns that add no value to your vision? You might think you're making progress, but until you cut the noise, you'll always feel stuck. Refocus requires honesty. It demands that you look at your life and say, this is what matters. This is where I put my time. This is where I put my energy. And when you make that decision, everything else falls away. Your path becomes sharper. Your energy becomes stronger. Your results become bigger. The reason Apple was able to change the world wasn't because we did everything. It was because we focused on the few things that mattered most, and we did them better than anyone else. That's the principle you need in your own life. Stop scattering yourself. Stop diluting your power. Refocus it. Because when you do, you unlock the ability to move mountains. Every great story has a dark chapter. Every life that shines has known moments when the light was nowhere to be found. We like to talk about success as if it's a straight road, as if it's a clear climb to the top. But the truth is, behind every breakthrough, behind every triumph, behind every legacy, there is darkness. And the ones who rise are not the ones who avoid it. They are the ones who learn to use it. I have lived through that darkness. When I was fired from Apple, the company I had poured my soul into, it felt like the world had closed its doors on me. It was humiliating. It was painful. It was a public fall. But what most people never understood is that those years of exile became the fuel for everything I created later. Without the pain of rejection, there would have been no rebirth. Without the loneliness of failure, there would have been no fire to innovate again. Darkness is not the enemy. Darkness is the training ground. It is where your strength is built, where your vision is sharpened, where your hunger is reborn. Too often, we run from it, we numb it, we try to pretend it doesn't exist. But if you want to create something truly powerful, you must learn to embrace it. Because in the silence of your darkest nights, you will find the questions you were too distracted to ask. And in the answers to those questions, you will find the fuel that drives you. The world celebrates the light, but it is the darkness that shapes you. Think about it. When everything is going right, you rarely grow. Comfort never transforms you. It's in the moments when you are broken, when you are doubted, when you are pushed aside, that your character is forged. That's when you decide whether you will stay down or rise. That's when you discover the depth of your strength. When I was away from Apple, I built NXT. I invested in Pixar. These weren't just companies. They were acts of rebellion. They were proof to me that the world hadn't seen the last of me. Every sleepless night, every doubt, every rejection letter, it all became fuel. Fuel that burned brighter than the pain. And when I returned to Apple, I didn't return with bitterness. I returned with clarity. I returned with a vision that had been refined in the fire of failure. You see, the darkness strips you of illusions. It takes away the applause, the recognition, the comfort. It leaves you face to face with yourself. And in that mirror, you either see someone broken or you see someone unshakable. That choice is yours. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who avoid pain. They are the ones who transform it. They are the ones who say, "This fire will not consume me. It will forge me." They are the ones who turn their wounds into wisdom, their scars into strength, their setbacks into setups for something greater. Think about your own life. What darkness have you been running from? What pain have you been trying to bury? What failure have you been too afraid to face? That darkness isn't there to destroy you. It's there to teach you. It's there to prepare you. It's there to remind you that your story is not over. It's being rewritten in ways you cannot yet imagine. Most people give up in the darkness. They let the pain define them. They let rejection convince them that they're finished. But the rare few, the ones who change industries, who change lives, who change the world, they embrace the darkness. They step into it. They feel its weight, and then they use it as energy to move forward. Every product I created, every vision I fought for, carried a piece of that darkness. The iMac, the iPod, the iPhone. They weren't born out of comfort. They were born out of a relentless drive to prove that failure would not have the last word. They were born from the hunger that only the darkness could give me. And here's the paradox: without darkness, there can be no true light. Without struggle, there can be no real success. Without rejection, there can be no lasting resilience. The darkness is not a detour. It is the very road that leads you to your destiny. When you look at the journey of life, it is not the straight lines or the easy victories that define you. It is the moments when you reset, when you restart, when you refocus, and when you learn to embrace the darkness that tries to break you. That is where true power is born. Resetting gives you clarity. Restarting gives you direction. Refocusing gives you discipline. And the darkness gives you the fire that nothing else can provide. These are not just ideas. These are not just strategies. These are the very lessons that shaped my life. The very tools that carried me from rejection to redemption, from being cast out to coming back stronger, from doubt to destiny. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not finished. You are one decision away from transformation. The reset button is always within reach. The restart is always available. The power to refocus is always in your hands. And the darkness you fear is the very fuel that will carry you forward. So don't be afraid to pause. Don't be afraid to begin again. Don't be afraid to cut away what no longer serves you. And above all, don't be afraid of the dark. Because when you learn to use it, when you channel it, when you turn it into energy, you will discover what I discovered. The ability to create, to innovate, and to leave a mark on this world that will never be erased.